What's up, crypto fam? It's Phantom. So we are in a little better shape today. A lot better shape today than we were yesterday. We'll start off fear and greed index. We're at 22. Yesterday we were at 21. So there was still fear in the market when this was captured. It was captured about 4 hours ago, and pretty recently we started pumping again. We're up 6.5% on the day, so we're pushing up. But don't forget, it's important to note that we have a lot of resistance coming up, a lot of sections for rejection. So we'll have rejection at the 41k, 41.5, 42k region through 43k. We'll have resistance at 48k all the way through 51, 52k, and then we'll have resistance at the 56k to 58, 59k regions. So keep that in perspective. Don't forget, you don't want to, obviously not financial advice, but you don't want to kind of go all in when Bitcoin is coming up towards resistance levels. You don't want to buy resistance, and you don't necessarily want to sell support, are the rules that most tend to follow. That said, we are 3 days into this weekly candle, and it's looking like a bullish candle, and assuming that we can make continuation on this. If you have a solid candle to the upside, it's indicative of bullish behavior, bullish pattern. So we've obviously rejected at supports, right around this level, even when having bullish closes. So I think it's important to note that even though the chart can lean bullish, we can still have pullbacks due to resistance levels that are out there, and also global news events like we've seen before. So everything can be bright, shiny rainbows, and something happens to make the war more dire, or the increased levels of aggression from either side, or we can make your pick. So we want to be very careful, and slowly put this in perspective. Be mindful of what we're doing. Know that we've come to this level 1-2 times already on 2 different weekly candles, and both have rejected. So it's really important not only that we break through this, but we close above it. So it's going to take time for that to happen to determine if we're actually having a much more bullish candle, or if we get rejected and shot back down. So perspective is really important. Obviously, now that Bitcoin's doing well, the altcoins are starting to recover. That's common sight to see. Just remember that it's a double-edged sword. Most of the altcoins are still going to be tightly coupled to Bitcoin. So the altcoins tend to pump harder than Bitcoin when Bitcoin's in the peak of its bull market, but they also rip down harder when Bitcoin has corrections. So they are a lot more volatile, so always, always, always keep that in mind. That said, though, I'm very happy with the way this weekly candle is looking, is shaping up. We broke through 41k, and we seem to be making continuation upward. So I think what you'll start to see tomorrow is the fear and greed index will start to recover and start to move up some. I think you're going to see everybody in crypto Twitter saying that they called the bottom, that this is bullish, they're hopping in, that they're aping into altcoins. You're going to see a bunch of affirmations of their own counts for their followers. But keep it in perspective. Crypto Twitter is majority of the time flip-flopping based on how the market's doing on that particular day. So it's important to look at things with perspective. We've been following on this stream just the steady trend line, making sure that the trend line does hold our support, that we don't close below it, and we're going to slowly make our observations based off of how things close instead of seeing a 6% pump one day and jumping in hoping for the giga moon. You'll make, just to put it into perspective, even if we grabbed the exact bottom and sold the exact top, you're more likely off of that success to get wrecked on the other side. People will take a victory and destroy most of their funds when the market's not doing exactly what it should be doing or what it's predicted to do based off of technical analysis. So I think a great example was the second move up that we had here. A lot of people saw us break this 60K region, and when we hit up to 68K, everybody was on moon mission, right? $100,000 Bitcoin were daily tweets on my account coming across my feed. I wasn't a proponent of the 100K at last year at least, but it seemed like everybody and their sister was predicting 100K and how they called it, that it was going to happen and that it was imminent, and we didn't get there. And a lot of people started buying towards this top or reinvesting their gains toward this top, and they got absolutely wrecked in just a matter of weeks. So just remember, only invest what you can lose, and be happy with the profits that you have. Don't go dumping all of them into the next bright, shiny object that you see. Obviously not financial advice, it's just what I've seen on many of my friends' accounts, what I've seen, what I've done personally in the past. It's very easy to get caught up in the hype machine. So taking that all back, or taking that all in, I've learned perspective, I've learned patience, I've learned taking profits regularly, I've learned averaging down. I've learned a lot over the previous bull market and bear market in 2017 through 2020. So a lot of perspective is extremely helpful in times like this. A lot of people would benefit from cleaning out a lot of the people that they follow on Twitter and follow the people that only post quality content. You'll see a lot of people flip-flop almost daily, and it's not helpful to follow those accounts. They're gonna continue popping up on your feed because that's what you want to see, and it's not beneficial. Sometimes it really is beneficial to have people that have a solid foundation in their thinking and a proven track record of being honest, being upfront, and calling the shots well. Obviously, no one's going to be right all the time, but there are people on Twitter that hold themselves accountable when they do get trades wrong, when they do make predictions wrong. They claim their own invalidations when things break and don't go the way they think they go. Those are the types of people that you want to follow. That'd be my recommendation. Obviously, just my opinion. That said, I'm very happy to see Bitcoin recovering today. I think, I don't know, I'm speculating that it may be on the news of eBay possibly coming out this week and speaking about Bitcoin as a form of payment. It may be that the gas prices are going up so bad and Biden continues to talk about how we all need to pull together as a people and that he'll be helping the American people and he'll be there for them. I don't know if people are taking that as possibly another incentive or stimulus check on the horizon, and that's what's pumped. It's really difficult to know. What I always fall back to is what I do know, and that's following what makes sense. Go to the logic, the bare bones of these things. I'm a programmer throughout the day. I've been a programmer for 10 years. Logic is always my go-to. It's always steered me in the right way. It's extremely helpful in situations like this. Beforehand, I let my emotions run how I traded, and now I just let the logic side of my brain take in all the information, and I make a plan based off that data. Just data points, and then make analysis. The rest is just garbage. So Bitcoin's looking strong right now, but I want to keep the perspective out there that it can be a bull trap. We have a lot of resistance, much heavier resistance a little bit further up, but we do have a lot of resistance that we have to get through before things really start looking bullish. So keep that in mind, please, before you see we're up 7% now on the day, a 7% increase in Bitcoin candle. It's very tempting for a lot of people to start jumping in, right? And you don't want to jump in on the end of the train ride. So obviously you all can do what you all would like to do. I'm not giving any financial advice. I'm just going off of what I've learned. Always do your own research, but I personally am still going to be sitting on my hands and waiting to see how this plays out, to see how we do through these resistance levels. If we can flip this indicator to a bullish candle, I may start to change my tune a little bit. We are low on the RSI and starting to peak back up, so that may be enough for us to make some continuation to the upside. But like I said, I'm going to be waiting a few days for confirmation, because generally when we do make this move, we rip down fairly hard. So, and with the instability in the globe right now, it's really hard to predict what type of news cycles are going to be coming out. So what we do know is that, there should be hopefully an announcement this week on eBay, and I think that's going to be a catalyst that may start the fire to this bull run. The other catalyst may be if the Fed comes out in March. I believe it's going to be March 18th. I will check on that for you. I believe it's going to be March 18th. And if they come out and say that they're going to kick the can on interest rates, or they're going to offer some type of stimulus, or if the interest rates only go up the 1/4 point like people are predicting, like they kind of alluded to, I think that's already baked into this price. I don't see the market reacting too negatively to that unless they come out and say much different. They come out more aggressive than what they mentioned before. So that's my thoughts. The fear and greed index being low, the RSI being low, us bouncing off trendline support, these are all bullish indicators to me. When there's fear in the market, be greedy, and when the market's greedy, be fearful. Words to live by. Good old Warren Buffett. Even though he hates Bitcoin, he can suck an egg, but he did make a good quote. So, the couple of articles that I pulled out today that I found interesting, the U.S. Treasury Department's Financial Literacy Commission will launch an initiative focused on informing the public about potential risks of investing in cryptocurrencies, atop official toll routers. So, I am okay and not okay with this. One, I don't think it's enough to only educate people on risks. I think we should be educating people. Full stop. I don't know why we would only tell and educate people on the bad side of what crypto's about. So that's coming from the Treasury. I take it with a grain of salt. The article continues on and says the education materials will outreach, and outreach will push, will include information on how cryptocurrencies work and how they differ from traditional payment formats. Liang said crypto could offer potential benefits such as improving financial inclusion in cross-border payments, which is absolutely true. The initiative is meant to educate without stamp out new technology with a new innovation. So if this is what they gear towards, this I'm completely on board with. The Treasury Department's Education Department encompasses 20 different agencies, including Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, whose chairman, Gary Gensler, has previously referred to crypto as the Wild West. So what I'm guessing is the Treasury Department is going to inform everybody on how this is a high-risk asset, 100 ways of why it's scary, and a lot of other people are going to push why crypto is a good thing, the real-world use cases, and what it solves. So the Treasury Department's move comes as the Biden administration reportedly plans to issue an executive order this week dealing with the government strategy for setting policies and for regulating cryptocurrencies. My problem with this, the people that are going to create this regulation have very little knowledge of the actual space itself. So if they focus on this here, yes, it's okay to include the risks. Absolutely. Because that's part of any trading, right? But it's important to educate as a whole, the good and the bad, with this 100 things that this solves, and then obviously the risks that are included with it. It's kind of the double-edged sword of technology, right? We always leading forward with innovation, and then security comes second. How many companies a couple of years ago had huge data hacks where social security numbers of millions of their users get stolen, and all we get for it is a free security service for a year or two, and then we're dropped off like they've done their part. They're insured to high heaven. So I think it's going to be ever more important to push back and make sure that we're educating in an inclusive manner. So if this is a main part of the education, I'm completely on board with this. If the US Treasury focuses on what this article is saying, that they're planning on launching for the potential risks, I think this is only beneficial if they also include all the gains. I guess is what I'm getting at. You shouldn't have one without the other. Otherwise, it's favoriting one side. Congress could see a stablecoin bill by the end of the month. Competing bills concerning the regulation of stablecoins and their reserves could be introduced in Congress this month. Representative Josh produced an earlier draft of the bill, similarly aimed at regulating reserves this February. The aim of the bill is related to the President's Working Group on Financial Markets and past Tether controversies. A bill regulating stablecoins within the United States could be introduced as early as this month, according to the report from Blockworks. So, regulation's good, is my opinion on this. Tether, I think, has been good for the market. I don't know if it's all backed. I mean, they could rug everybody at one point in time. But they have done a lot. They've had to prove to the government of New York and all these different court agencies that have tried to audit them. They continue to push out information on their cash flows, what they have for reserves, where their getting their evaluations, so on and so forth. So I think as long as they're able to provide that information, regulation's not a bad thing. It shouldn't be something that we fear. It should be something we embrace. Now, if the regulation's impossible to match and it's regulation that's not asked of any other area in the financial spectrum, then that's targeted. I'm not on board with that, but regulation is a good thing. So, and I just noticed on the trending news article, Kraken CEO warns users to get your coins off of centralized exchanges, and looks like that was back on February 18th. I couldn't agree with that more. For sure. Binance announced today, I think it's no longer going to take payments from any MasterCard or Visa card that I think originated from Russia. So you're now seeing Binance get in the game. Coinbase has sold off or froze a lot of their accounts and given that information to the government. So yeah, I would make sure that you pull your money off of any exchanges and get it into hardware wallets or at least safe locations that are convenient for you to get to, that the exchanges don't have access to. So I think that's a very, very, very important point. And like I said, I think regulation's good. I think education as a whole is good. I hope it's not tilted in one direction like this article led off by saying. But time will tell, right? And at the end of the day, we're still new in the space. We're still very young in this process. We're in its infancy. So we're going to get pushed back a lot. And my fear is the United States may take a tougher stance than anywhere else in the world on cryptocurrency, and we're going to fall far behind the curve of innovation. People will continue to innovate on the blockchain. People will continue to come up with new ideas for cryptocurrency, for use cases of blockchain technology as a whole, especially the metaverse or gaming on blockchain. And I think we are going to be left in the dust with the rest of the world if we do not embrace cryptocurrency, if we do not embrace blockchain technology. I think we will be left behind. I think it's absolutely critical. One of the best examples that I heard, I can't remember where I heard it from, so source unknown, but it's, if I had a relative in Paris and I wanted to send them $1,000, the fastest way for that transaction to settle would be for me to put the cash on a plane in Chicago and fly it there, because it would get there in 8 hours. Financial transaction settlement take days. If you purchase something at Lowe's, is a great example of this, or Macy's, or take your pick, and you take the item back, they swipe your card, but you don't have the money back in your account. You have a pending transaction saying that Macy's will return this amount of money to you as soon as the bank of Macy's and the bank of wherever you bank with have both settled those funds. It takes days. It's 2022, where you could send money through a cryptocurrency and it would be seconds. And it would be publicly available on a public ledger for anybody to see the transaction, for the transaction to be verified. It's just, there's no comparison. So I think education is good. I think regulation is good. I just hope they're done inclusively. I hope we give both sides, really educate people and let them decide for themselves. People are smart. People can make these decisions. I don't think we need to aim people at one direction or another. Just give them the facts and let the public decide. So I'll close with that. I hope you really have been liking the information on the channel. I'll keep on I'll keep updating with the Bitcoin chart that I have here. As soon as Bitcoin, I think, has moved into a bullish area, I'll start focusing on some altcoins that I'm interested in. I'm still wary until Bitcoin really makes a decisive move in one direction or another. But I promise you, and if you have requests before that, and you want to, give me a follow, send me a comment, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to look at any altcoin charts on the stream as well if they're asked for. For sure, just give me a shout, and I'll do some research into it and let you know my thoughts if they're beneficial. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. I hope you have an amazing Wednesday. I hope this bullish momentum continues throughout the night. Asia markets are going to start turning on now, so it's about to get interesting. And hopefully we get some great news this week. I'll catch you all in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace.